YouTube, what's going on, guys? Welcome back. We are here for today's episode at the Bettor's Edge. Today, I will be doing the Sweet 16 preview of March Madness. I'm going to go over the majority of these games. I might not touch on every single one of them. I'll give you my initial thoughts on the matchups and probably an initial lean on each game that I do cover. Let's get straight into it. Let's talk about the very first game that we have on Thursday. We have Texas and we have Purdue. Texas, the Cinderella story, if you will, of this year's tournament right now is getting 6.5 points. Purdue, we saw it in the Big Ten tournament. I talked about it leading up to the start of the NCAA tournament. This is a team that is gelling at the right time. This is a team that can beat you inside. This is a team that can beat you outside. They have good bigs. They have good guard play. They're an experienced team. They're obviously a well-coached team. And as I mentioned in the lead up to the NCAA tournament, this is a team that is getting hot at the right time. I mentioned that this was the most dangerous team in this bracket, and I am holding firm on that stance. I think this is a horrific matchup for Texas. I think Texas has done their part in this tournament. They've exceeded expectations. However, in my humble opinion, I think the run for the Texas Longhorns comes to an end. Early lean, Purdue Boilermakers -6.5. Next game on Thursday, we have Iowa, we have Nebraska. This is version 3, round 3, if you will, of these two teams facing off this season. They're obviously both coming from the Big Ten. They've split the regular season matchups. Each team won on their home floor. This is now a neutral environment. This line right now is sitting at Nebraska -1.5 points. I think a lot of people are underestimating this Iowa team. We've seen this Iowa team just knock off Florida. We've seen this Iowa team play really, really good basketball this tournament. Their coach, McCollum, is a great tournament coach. Their point guard is a great tournament point guard, and this is a team that can beat you in a plethora of ways. This is going to be an interesting game. It remains to be seen just how much of an edge Nebraska is going to have with their fans. We saw that against Vanderbilt. Granted, I don't think they're going to have that level of a home court advantage in this type of game, but they're definitely going to have a little bit of a home court advantage. How much of an edge is that going to play into this game? We talk about it on this show all the time. When you're dealing with home court advantage, even though this is on a neutral floor, of course, you get role players that show up for teams that are getting support, and you get role players on other teams that don't show up that are not getting support. That's just the way that the home court advantage works. If it's a massive home court advantage for Nebraska, this is going to be a dangerous spot for Iowa. However, this is a game that is in Houston, and on that same night, you have Houston playing Illinois. I wouldn't be shocked whatsoever if the majority of that fan base in that stadium are obviously supporting Houston, the Cougars, as opposed to Nebraska. And if that is the case, I think pound for pound, I think stylistically, I think the way these two teams match up, early lean Iowa +1.5 in that game. Third matchup. Right now we have Arizona -7.5 against Arkansas. This is a game that I don't have a huge lean on one way or the other, if I'm being honest with you guys. Arizona's playing great ball right now. We saw Utah State give them a little bit of a fight. But at the same time, this Arkansas team, they obviously are going to have the best player on the court in Acuff. This Arkansas team is peaking right now. They won the SEC tournament. They're really playing a great brand of basketball. They're getting huge contributions from their, other star players around Acuff. They defend really well. They're really long. They're going to be able to match Arizona's size. You can expect Acuff to have a big game. The question, in my opinion, is going to come down to Arizona and their outside shooting. We know how Arizona likes to play. They're big, they're long, they defend well. They usually shoot the two ball and don't shoot a ton of threes. If that's the case in this game and Arkansas gets hot from the three-point line, Arizona could be on upset alert. But we've seen Arizona stylistically make a little bit of adjustments the last couple of games and trying to shoot more of the three ball. If those three balls are falling, Arkansas doesn't have much of a chance, and they're going to get blown out of the gym. If those three balls aren't falling, of course, Arkansas will be a live dog. Last game, and maybe the best game on the card for the entire round of 16. We have Illinois, we have Houston. This game is in Houston. It's not on their home court per se, but is in their home city. This line right now is sitting at Houston minus 3.5. And the only way I can justify this line being 3.5 is because they're at home, and that is a massive advantage. I say that because I've been talking about this Illini team for the better part of the last couple of weeks. This team is peaking, this team is damn good, and this team is going to the Final Four if, and that's a massive if, they can manage to win this game on Thursday night. How are they going to do that? We know what this team does well. They're long, they're big, they shoot the three, and offensively, they're as efficient as any team in the country. We saw them put up 65 points in the second half in that first round matchup against Penn. Houston obviously is long, and they defend well, and they slow the game down. So this is going to be a battle of which team stylistically can play their brand of basketball. It's very hard knowing what type of home court advantage the Houston Cougars are going to have on Thursday night for me to sit here and say I'm confident in taking the Illini. If this game was on a neutral court, a true neutral court, outside of Houston, and this line was 3.5, I would tell you with a lot of confidence the Illini would win this game outright. But because of the home court advantage that Houston is going to have, in my opinion, it's going to come down to the three-point line and whether the role players on Illinois and even some of their star players can get the three ball to fall. If they're shooting 40% from the three-point line, they will win this game. But it's going to be a raucous environment. And if that three-point percentage dips around 30% or under 30%, they don't stand a chance against this Houston Cougars defense. Moving into Friday, guys. First game on Friday, we have St. John's and we have the Duke Blue Devils. This line is sitting at 6.5 points, obviously Duke being the favorite. We know what we're getting from both of these teams, guys. We're getting two incredibly coached teams, two teams that are elite on the defensive side of the ball, and a St. John's team that right now is playing as well as anybody in the country. What's concerning, if you're backing Duke here, is we don't know how healthy they are. And Ngongba obviously just came back. But this is a Duke team that right now isn't playing their best brand of basketball in general, and they're also not healthy. We know St. John's is elite defensively, top 15 team in the country as far as points per possession allowed. To give the St. John's team and their head coach 6.5 points in this spot, in my opinion, is too much. They have almost a week to prepare. They're going to put a defensive game plan together that is going to be elite to slow down Cameron Boozer, and they're going to force some of these other role players to beat them. We know these St. John's guards can guard. They're going to strap. Caden Boozer is going to have a nightmare of a game offensively. I don't see any way you can lay 6.5 points with Duke, no matter who's playing for them on Thursday night. Even if they're playing, we know they're not going to be gelling. They haven't played together in almost a month. One of my stronger leans for the round of 16, give me the Johnnies plus the points in this spot. Alabama, Michigan. And this is what I wanted to see. This line is creeping down into single digits. We have Michigan minus 9.5 points. There's so much about this game that's intriguing. I'm going to try and keep it short and concise. This Michigan team is finally rolling. We saw it against St. Louis. They're getting production inside. They're getting production outside. Cadeau is hitting threes. Burnett is hitting threes. Yaxel Lindeborg is dunking on opponents. Ade Mara is balling inside. Morris Johnson is balling inside. This team gets up and down. They defend at an elite level. We know Alabama right now isn't 100%. I don't want to say healthy because it's not a health issue, but Holloway isn't playing because of legal situation. And this team that's coming off of essentially 50% shooting from the three-point line, blowing Texas Tech out of the gym the other night on nearly 40 three-pointers. They're not going to have that type of three-point shooting against the Michigan Wolverines. This is going to be a game in which the Michigan Wolverines, their depth in scoring, their depth in defense is going to be too much for this Alabama Crimson Tide team to handle. Give me Michigan minus 9.5. I think Dusty May and this Michigan team roll in this game by 15-plus points. Third game on Thursday night. We have Sparty, Michigan State, and we have UConn. Right now, this line is sitting at UConn minus 2. This is a very intriguing matchup. Both these teams are almost identical in how they play. They strap on defense. They're long. They control the glass defensively. They try and attack the offensive boards, and they both tend to have spurts during games where they struggle offensively. Ultimately, this comes down to which coach do we trust more? Do we trust Sparty and Izzo to put their game plan together and execute it properly? Or do we trust Hurley and the UConn Huskies to put their game plan together and execute it properly? I just think right now, Michigan State and the way that they're playing and they're executing is far superior to what we're seeing from this UConn team and these Huskies right now. I lean towards taking the points. I don't love it. I think the line is probably about accurate, but this UConn team, just over the course of the last handful of weeks, really doesn't give us a ton of confidence in backing them in this spot. And we know with a ton of data and a ton of historical reference points that we can refer to, that Izzo's probably going to have his team ready to roll, and they're going to put on one of their best performances of the season in this spot. Small lean, Sparty plus 2 Friday night. Last game on Friday night. It is an absolute banger of a game. Iowa State Cyclones minus 4.5 against the Tennessee Volunteers. I've been talking about this Cyclones team all season long with you guys. Joshua Jeffries, obviously, we don't know if he's healthy or not. But this is a team, granted, it was against the Kentucky Wildcats, which is a far inferior opponent than this Tennessee Volunteers team, get absolutely blown out of the gym the last 30 minutes of that game. We saw peak Cyclones basketball for the last 30 minutes of that game against Kentucky. Strapping on defense, forcing turnovers, being feisty on the ball defensively, attacking the glass offensively and defensively, burying three-point shots, getting inside the paint, doing whatever they want offensively, doing whatever they want defensively. This is a team that if they were healthy, I would feel so confident about in winning this game. But when you take Joshua Jeffries out of the game and you line them up against this Tennessee Volunteers team, it's going to be a much better version of what Kentucky tried to do to them in that first half of the first half. We know Tennessee attacks the offensive glass, the best offensive rebounding team in the country. They're going to be able to win that battle decisively against Iowa State. We know Iowa State doesn't shoot the free throws well, so if this comes down to a game that requires Iowa State hitting free throws, they're the worst free throw shooting team in their own conference all season long. I have a very difficult time laying 4.5 points in this spot if Jeffries isn't playing. It remains to be seen whether he's going to be playing or not, but that's a major factor in how I handicap this game. I can't lay 4.5 in this spot without their best player. Guys, the Sweet 16 is going to be an amazing round. I know up until now the tournaments had a little bit of a lack of drama, if you will. There have been a couple of games here and there, but for the most part, it's been a little bit of a snooze fest. Let's hope and pray that moving forward, we get some drama that we're all waiting for. As always, guys, like the video, subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be back officially with my picks, best bets, and predictions for these games before they begin.